Biggest names in tech and media are gathering this week in Sun Valley, Idaho. The Allen & Company conference is known as a place for mega media deals, and it can't seem to get away from one of the hottest topics of the year, AI. CNBC's Julie Borson is joined now by AI investor Reid Hoffman. Julia, take it away.
Thanks, Melissa. Big topic here, AI, and also the presidential election. Reid Hoffman, co-founder of LinkedIn, also Inflection.ai, and also a serious donor to the Democratic Party. You drew a lot of attention when you circulated a letter after the debate defending Biden. Since then, we've seen more and more big voices come out and ask the president to maybe reconsider running, from Nancy Pelosi to George Clooney, raising questions here. Have you changed your mind since you sent that letter?
Well, I haven't changed what I said in the letter, which is the best qualification for being a great president is being president. What he's done over the last 4 years. Not a debate, not a, oh shit, like I had, senior moments at the debate, but actually in the fact doing things like lowest crime rate, right? Lowest unemployment rate, other kinds of things, most bipartisan legislation in decades. That's what we want from a president. That was the thing I was saying, look, don't overly rotate on the debate, rotate on the presidency. And on the quality of a man who cares about you, cares about the country, cares about not just himself, didn't, encourage an insurrection, didn't try to go find votes, etc., but was actually, in fact, dedicated to American democracy. And that was the thing that I was essentially doing in the letter. I still feel that as strongly. Now, obviously, Biden is older, and if he's feeling tired, right, he should tell us. But I'm hopeful to see a return to a vigorous Biden.
But since you wrote that letter, since the debate, we've seen Biden continue to fall in the polls, far behind Trump. In the tech industry, it's all about, you said rotate. The word is pivot. Is it time for you to pivot, and what would you be pivoting to?
Well, for me, because in a sense, in this election, I view myself as an advocate for the Constitution, an advocate for the rule of law, an advocate for caring about kind of like all Americans, not just yourself. I will continue to believe that advocacy, which is the Democratic Party ticket. It's weird to say that one of the parties is for the Constitution and not the other ones, but I think that's where the shape that we've gotten into, and we need to, of course, heal that as a country. So I will continue to be an advocate for that. Biden has been a great president, is a very decent guy, and cares about the country and the people in it more than he cares about himself. And I think that is an excellent qualification.
One of your PayPal co-founders, David Sachs, has become a big leader for the Tech for Trump contingent. Peter Thiel, also a former PayPal co-founder of yours, has been a big supporter of Trump in the past. What do you think they have wrong? Because a lot of business leaders here are saying a Republican administration, maybe not naming Trump in particular, but saying a Republican administration may be better for business.
So I've written about this, both online and in The Economist and other places. Look, it's a natural and easy thing to say. It's better for business to reduce corporate tax grid. It's better for business to reduce regulation. And by the way, I think that's one of the things that the Trump administration did well, which is say you want a new regulation, trade out an old one. That refactoring is a good process. However, what's most important is stability, right? And most important is rule of law. That's how businesses function. And that is actually, in fact, what I think we are essentially voting on this November. And that's part of like when your average voter might say, well, why is business investing? Well, that's because that's how new jobs are created, new industries are created. And that kind of stability and that belief in that the country should be managed to stability, not to, essentially tweets, is, I think, key.
I want to make sure we get your thoughts on AI as well. You mentioned regulation. You are on the board of Microsoft, which, of course, is the biggest investor and partner in OpenAI. And most recently, there have been various regulatory concerns. There are questions about whether there'll be a patchwork of laws in different states. And then the DOJ and FTC just agreed to divide responsibility in investigating NVIDIA, Microsoft, and OpenAI. What do you make of these investigations, concerns that the AI giants are too big, including one that you sit on the board of?
So I think it's way jumping the gun relative to the fact that we're in the very early days of how the AI stuff will play. And if you go around Silicon Valley asking a whole bunch of VCs, like myself at Greylock, what are you investing in? We're investing in AI because we think we can make the next technology giants by investing in AI. I myself co-founded a company, Inflection AI. I think that the view is that it's active and it's there. And the thing around kind of the antitrust stuff is, if I thought we were, call it 7 large tech companies heading to 3, I'd have a different view. I think we're 7 heading to 15. And that kind of competition creates value for society, industries. That's what I think we're in.
We're out of time. Quickly, though, I have to ask, how do you think AI should be regulated right now?
Well, I think the Biden administration has done a great job. First, get voluntary commitments, then do an executive order, make it very focused on very specific kinds of harms, and then start getting in the data and information flow in order to see when it needs to be more than that.